Okay, so today I kind of want to just talk about grief in general, or more our experience or lack thereof when we're young, and what we learn or don't learn about how to prepare for loss, death, and grief in general. Um, Obviously, I want to focus on how we're affected by grief when it comes to the loss of our pets. But I think in a greater sense, especially with everything going on in society right now, with AI, with a general lack of connection to things, to people, to relationships, with the greater polarization of society in general, um, we're going to experience lots of forms of loss, even if it's, a relationship, a job, whatever it may be, up to, the greater losses of a loved one, or, as we focus on our beloved pets. So, you know, when we're young, at least this was my experience, and, pretty similar for a lot of people that I've spoken with, we're not really given much in the way of teaching, guidance, or, a path on how to grieve. So even if we've lost, a loved one when we're younger, in that circumstance, usually you're going to have some form of support. If it's family, friends, you're going to have some kind of, example to kind of look to at how to respond. And if you're lucky enough, if you personally are open enough to be able to express yourself and what you're going through, and B, if you're lucky enough to have a support system around you that will instinctively lean in to, be there for you and help you with that process. The loss of, family is generally a much more shared and collective experience. You'll be grieving with extended family members, friends of who was lost, relatives, etc. So not only would you have just a greater network of people to talk to, people to share what you're going through, but it's just a much more socially recognized and supported experience. When we lose our pets, it's in most cases a completely personal experience, or at least a far more minimized experience in terms of who really feels that loss and who has to proceed forward with it. So when, and I think that, well, this was my experience. A lot of times we'll kind of have that initial, not only relationship with our pets, that where it may be the first really loving, open, completely free relationship, with your first childhood pets. You can be whoever you want to be, they're there for you, and it's just this completely free relationship. So the loss of a childhood pet can really set up an interesting relationship, or pattern, or lack thereof, on how to deal with that later in life. And, I think, especially from a parent's perspective, I don't have children, so I can just speak for, how it was for me when I was younger. But, you see so many parents that will just rush to fill that void. If a, family pet was lost, well, let's just get them a new one, because, they don't want to see their children hurting, obviously, without, really pausing and taking the time to, help that young human come to terms with what grief is. So, a lot of what I'm going to be always going over is not only, how do we transcend grief? How do we move forward? But also how our relationship with our pets not only is a reflection of our relationship with life in general, but how our relationship with our pets can be an example of, how we interact and experience love, how to be more present in the moment and the experiencing of love, and how that can also, obviously manifest and, spread out into all areas of our life. with our personal relationships, how we are at work, how we are in general public and general society. And our pets really, really just give us this amazing opportunity to really see who we are, how we engage life, how we interact with life, how we react to life when life is reacting with us. And it really gives us an opportunity to, just experience, all kind of facets of how we engage love and loss, eventually. But a lot of this is going to be centered around, how to grow in your immediate experience with love, especially with your pets, and how that can not only, enrich the rest of your life, but also how it can be the best way to prepare for when our pets leave us. Because I think for a lot of people, it's just this blind side. We have this, I refer to it a lot, this convenient, amnesia when it comes to, the lifespan of our pets. When our pets enter our lives, we know that they're not going to be there forever. I mean, in most cases, that is, but it's probable that we will outlive our pets. Yet, when that time is coming, it just blindsides us, and we just all of a sudden, don't believe that our time and life with them is limited, and how precious it is. So, a lot of this will be not only to reinforce the moments that you were blessed to share with your animals, but also how that reinforcement can prepare you for what happens when they leave us. Because we only have their love for, or their physical proximate love for, a brief amount of time, but their love and their impact in our lives can continue in beautiful, uplifting ways that continues to be present in our lives when they are no longer with us.